Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the Richmond versus Collingwood game in which Richmond ran over the top of Collingwood 46-10. They did still have Benici, Rowe and Davey do alright. Davey didn't actually do as alright as I thought she did, 17 touches, 8 tackles, but it was just Richmond's day in the end. Monconti with 30 and 7 tackles, Kate Dempsey with 23, 5 and 5, and Mackenzie as well, putting a shift in with 18, 3 and 7, and Sheeran as well with 17, 3 and 6, as well as a couple goals for each of those two there. 2 goals to Sheeran is actually quite a surprise, I guess, in a way. But anyway, let's just move on into this video here. So as you can see, this is what that's sort of locked a little bit. So let's quickly do this. There you go. You can see it now. So this is what I was reading off quickly in the introduction, and you see Monconti is just absolutely on a heater at the moment. 110, I'm pretty sure that is the 3rd straight 100 she scored, maybe, or is it 3 and 4? It's actually only the 2nd straight score she scored that's actually been decent, but yeah, last 2 games she's gone really well, especially against North in the wet. And then against Collingwood, she did pretty well there as well. It comes off a pretty dismal start to the year, pretty much a 118 and then 76, 75, 98, 88. So she is averaging on the year 99.9, which is still below what she was averaging last year of a 106. And so yeah, she is struggling a little bit, as well as the fact that she's just played in a couple of absolute landslide games that she hasn't actually had to play in much. You can see here this game, and this game as well, I'm pretty sure both of them, she just lowered her. And even you can see in this game here, lowered her tog a little bit. She's normally around that 90, high 80s, low 90s. And you can see here, 81, 72, 82% togs in 3 smashings. So you can see where she sort of laid off a little bit. Dempsey here, 89% for a 101. She's been really, really good. Let me actually also bring up, if I just bring up the CBAs as well. Here we go, 1 second. I just want to bring up the CBAs to show you who's been in the midfield. Obviously, we know that Conti is pretty much 100% CBA when she's on field. You have obviously others as well, but you can see here Monconti 83% for an 81% time on ground is pretty good. Pop Kelly, the ruck. Mackenzie, Egan, and then Sheeran as well. So they pretty much split it very, very... That's the type of midfield that I want to see out of clubs, is just have 4 midfielders, have a main ruckman, and have a secondary ruck. Simple as that. Job done. And that's how they pretty much run it, other than Al Dalloway getting a little bit of time in the 5B go round. But yeah, they have a really, really evenly split midfield between 4 girls. Conti, Mackenzie, Egan and Sheeran, all getting between sort of 55 and well, in this case 100%, but anywhere between sort of 55 to 80% CBAs between 4 of them. And then they have a main ruckman who's it's a like 3/4 split there. So that's sort of what's running with the Richmond midfield, and it's really actually easy to see now. And so yeah, Sheeran 91. Really good effort, especially because she's probably going to be, in the end, she might score the number one defender in terms of average. I don't know where she is currently on that. I think Maddie Newman is probably just going to edge her, just given the fact that she's got, I think Maddie Newman's up at around that 80 average. And I think that because of the 2 games that Sheeran played, we can see here with Sheeran, she's on a 74, so it'd be quite a turnaround with 4 games, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it'd be quite a turnaround for Sheeran to get that, I think, given that she'd probably have to average, I would think, probably 90 in the last 4 games to edge out Maddie Newman. Tamara Luke, 76, Beth Lynch, Hicks, Egan, Dalloway, Poppy, Kelly, Greiser as well for a key forward to get to a 57 isn't the worst. Ryan, Miller, Lavy. Lavy's actually not done the worst since people were thinking about bringing her in, but she hasn't done the worst since then. Bacon as well with the 8 tackles to get to a 41 on only 2 touches is quite remarkable. Seymour forward, Brennan as well. She's just sort of been the one that has gotten away, I would say. I don't think we've ever seen her in the midfield. Let me just double check this here. I don't think we've ever seen her midfield time. She did play midfield time in season 6, and I think that's where people thought that she might get midfield time. But especially with Sheeran out of the side early, I think a lot of people thought that Brennan would be that nice link in that forward line. But not to be, and yeah, she hasn't really gotten anything anywhere up to that. As you see here, she had 13 touches per game last year. Now she's down at sort of that 9.5, and her tackles are down a little bit, and her hit-outs are down a little bit. And yeah, so that's pretty much the difference in a lot of her scoring is pretty much the 3 kicks, a handball, and a tackle a game, which adds to about 15 or so points, yeah, as you see there. So that's the real difference with her. And so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a bounce back year next year, but it's just hard to really do when you're a key forward to average in the 60s or 70s or be fantasy relevant. Yasir, Hoskin, Graham, and then we move over to the Collingwood side, and I'm going to move it up for you because I always forget to do that. Benici here with a 104. She's been amazing, but she's just had injury issues throughout the year. And if we just go to Benici here, if I get rid of these ones here, so that there we go, doesn't clog up my screen. You can see Benici here, 96 average, and had 84 the previous 2 years. So she's definitely improved, but she hasn't really improved enough to be fancy relevant, given that she's also missed, 2 games now, I want to say. Then you have Sarah Rowe, 101. 28 touches is absolutely huge for her. 5 free kicks against, 3-4 is a little bit annoying. That probably limits her to a 101 as it shows here instead of like a 110. Brie Davey with 17 touches, 8 tackles. She's not really that much of a ball collector, and she really relies heavily on the tackling element. As you see here, what's that, 32 points out of 78. That's closing in on 42 or something percent, something like that. Or 38, is it? Something like that percent, 40% maybe, give or take. I think it's 40% or 42%. But yeah, she relies heavily on tackling for her numbers. Frederick, 75 on 34 hitouts. She just isn't keeping up with her early season form. She isn't just keeping up with Strom anymore, which is really annoying for those that probably had her. But if you would move Frederick onto Strom after a double, if you could have done that, then that probably would have been the best. Kane shoot as well, 58. So she's done really well for those that, what was she priced at? She's priced at about 300. So if you had actually picked her up last week, you probably would have done really well, as I believe she's at like 380k now or something like that. Schleicher, 58, but I think her role is going to really shoot herself in the foot now that she's back at half back, because I think that, she's not going to get as many CBAs if we go to Collingwood here, unless her role's already shifted back. If we go here to Schleicher, you can see 67%, but I wouldn't be surprised if, as you see here, they had Benici and Davey in there quite a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if you also see Benici have a little bit more time in there, as well as I think Tiny White will spend more time in there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ruby Schleicher goes back to a half-back role completely out of the CBAs like she was in the first 3 weeks, just given how crazy that midfield is for Collingwood at the moment. Tiny White we talked about. I think she gets a better role next week. Eliza James, Barnett, Ramos did all right, but she didn't do anything outstanding with a 39. Atkinson, Cronin with a 37. Allen, Taylor. Allen's probably been the biggest disappointment of the year, and I think this is just tailor-made to a lot of us putting our more AFL fantasy minds on and thinking, she's got the half-back role. Look at what Colby McKercher, Harry Sheasel have done in the past there. Look at what Jack Siebel's done at North Melbourne. Look at, especially like in the context of being a poor team, even the likes of Jaden Short and Daniel Rowley have scored pretty well in poor sides. Who else? Even, I can't even remember like Liam Duggan, even to a certain extent. Those type of players have scored pretty well, but it just doesn't translate to the women's game, because of the nature of the game. It's just so tackle based. Like, I'm sure if you look at the men's numbers, you would see a very, very even split between marks and tackles. I think even to the point that marks are actually ahead. I wouldn't be surprised if you see marks at about 90 odd or 80 odd in the men's, and the tackles more on about the 60 marker, whereas in the women's it's a complete flip on its head. You can see here it's almost double. Marks and tackles on average is probably around the double marker for tackles over marks. So I think that's just why Allen and Schleicher haven't been the best, is they just don't get the marks needed, because the most marks that I've seen someone average this year is about 5 or so. And that's just add 5 marks there and obviously you get an 88. But even add 5 marks to Allen and she's only just scraping by with a, if you add the kicks in as well, and she'd get a 67. So I just don't think, it would be actually a 61 because she's already got the mark there. So I just don't think it's that profitable, the halfback role in the women's fantasy. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. The only girl that I've seen able to really profit out of it are Daisy Darcy and Charlotte Thomas, but they don't rely on marks. They rely heavily on just getting a lot of, they're both on kick-out duty, which in a bad side, they get 4 or 5 per game. Plus, they also just get a lot of clearing balls. So even though they turn it over quite a lot, they just get a lot of the ball. They get 15 to 20 kicks a game. Whereas you don't see that with Geordie Allen 8, and Ruby Schleicher 8 as well. Taylor Livingston, Porter, Butler, Clark, and Evans. And that pretty much is the video there. I hope I was able to sort of explain the, fault in a lot of our thinking in regards to the women's, sort of fault with the halfbacks and how they would score, etc. So anyway, if you did enjoy that video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I'll see you guys in the next recap in a little bit. Bye guys.